Hello, my name is Tieno. I am the president and founder of Abarca. So, the objective of this session today is called Storytelling as Communication Strategy for Social Change. Is part of this project called Influence Youth, which is a strategic partnership for youth, which will focusing on helping young people or helping youth worker, family, trainers, teachers on how to detect, to prevent, and to fight against radicalization. So the project was aimed to use three methodology, which was based on forum theater, media literacy, and digital storytelling. So today we are going to deliver a session about how we can use digital storytelling to foster our social change. So we're going to start by presenting the objective of the session, which are three: understanding what storytelling and digital storytelling are and the connection with preventing xenophobia, rise of extremism, or radicalization. Getting to know the second objective, getting to know the different type and function of storytelling in general. And the third objective, get connected with the relevance of using storytelling in our project, activity, and our daily life. So the detail of the session is going like this. Good to know some reflection points, type of storytelling, function of storytelling, how to make it happen in our daily reality, our own story, and some questions is going to be about questioning ourselves, searching for solution, making different questions, different steps, connecting to the reality in such a way that we can better understand what storytelling is and the relevance of it. So something that is good to know before starting as some concept talking on digital or storytelling. The digital storytelling is, or storytelling in general, is the conveying of events, words, image, and sounds, often by improvisation or embellishment. So generally, as I'm telling you today, I'm going to probably use in this session some stories that I didn't plan for it before, but as I'm talking to you or as I'm presenting my session, I'm going to be connecting to my reality or to the neighbor reality to me, and then I will use them to foster or to emphasize on what I would like to share with you. And then effective communication is important within storytelling, to use effective communication because it's the way of addressing people using the right word, the right time, and they're straight to the point. So if you come to me and you start counting me a story and it doesn't captivate my attention, probably because I'm busy, maybe attending phone because my boss is calling me, or maybe I'm busy because I have a problem that I have to manage. So you're not choosing the right time. So we need to do the effective communication when we are talking about storytelling. So some other thing that is good to know is that narrative have been shared in every culture as a means of entertainment, education, and cultural preservation. You know, since our childhood, people have been, our parents, our grandparents used to tell us story. Who amongst us never want to hear story when he was kid before sleeping? All these stories were either imaginative stories or some stories connected to the reality. For example, with my kids, I'm trying to use the story of my country of origin, to help them understanding how things work there. So my daughter already know that I am from Africa, from a country called Cameroon. My daughter already know that Abaka is me. So when you speak about Abarca, or she can read it on the T-shirt already because I tell her story and because she see me working on Abarca every day. Crucial element of stories and digital storytelling include plot, character, narrative point of view, place, environment, values, principle, culture, tradition, uh, general belief, context. So we need to understand all this while tackling storytelling. So how many times do you hear story? Every day we are hearing story from our house to the work, going into the metro, into the bus. We are hearing a lot of stories that are changing our life. Think about this for a minute, like just be attentive of this. When from the morning to the evening, just be attentive of different story that you're hearing and try to capture it and put it somewhere. And then later, like the next day, try to read it and then brainstorm about it. This will probably change something in your perception of your environment. And we as social educator, as trainer, as youth worker, we need to be aware about all this. Why tackling or why thinking of working with people? Because we're always thinking that probably these stories are just meant for entertainment. Some are meant for entertainment, some are meant for educational purpose. How many times have you stayed up late at night, for example, watching a movie, a good movie? You couldn't sleep probably. You couldn't, or reading a book. But while you are reading a book, it's the story that you are reading. And the next day, how many hours did you spend counting or saying what you read in the book to your people? You know? So how many time have you hear about stories about some country, some culture, some race, sexual orientation, fat people, thin people, Muslims, religious? How many times we hear it every day? Does those stories change our life? Probably yes. So why shouldn't we use it while we are doing education? Why are we going to be counting a lot of theories? Why we can use storytelling to do the same theory? So the reality is that there's no doubt that story can change the way we think, we act, we feel, we do things. You know, leader and especially leaders can use power of a good story to influence their followers. You know, today, nowadays, when you look at those influencers, what are they counting to their people? They're counting their daily life. And this is their story. This is what people want to know because we are growing into a society nowadays where everyone is either behind a phone or behind his door. Every door is closed, like in the Western world. And this is arriving already in the developing country where everyone is like looking for himself. Then all these are bringing us farther to each other every day. And then the only thing that could connect us is a superstar, an influencer who is sitting in front of his computer like I'm sitting now and telling you the story about this course, and probably you're not listening to me. So they're doing the same with camera, but showing their life. Sometimes their life is even miserable than our own. But the reality is that they are just showing in their life what they want us to see. So think of the same behind the camera. Like now, I'm in front of you. You have no idea about where I am. Of course, I'm in my office, so it's good, it's nice, but you don't know what is behind. You don't know if there are people behind me, behind the camera, not in front of me, or if I have a storyboard where I'm reading all this, what I'm telling you. So we should think about this when we as leader, when we as youth worker or trainer or facilitator, we are using storytelling because it's really can inspire, can motivate, or can be something else. Story can inspire everyone from the understanding to an action. Story can be very powerful for leadership skills or for leadership as leadership role. Great leader know this. You know this. You watching me, you know this. Organization know this. Big companies know this, and they use this to captivate your attention, our attention. So do you want to be a persuasive motivator? If so, learn how to tell good story. Let's think about it a bit, how it is going around the world now. This morning I was reading news before coming to work, and I found that happened in United States, a young Cameroonian who shot her old employer. I didn't investigate, but this is a story to come. Why a young Cameroonian, a brilliant young Cameroonian who was like a fraud auditor as profession, so she was intelligent, why she could shoot her old employer or her current because she was still working there. And the recent event happened that there were a lot of things going on in the company and this happened. I'm condemning every action that could lead this woman to the shooting, and I'm condemning that she shot these people. But there is a story behind that we can use to learn. We can use to understand some situation. We can use to sensitize, our youth, our beneficiary, and our communities. So we tell stories, but who tells the best story? The best story should be told by you, only you, to your people. And because if you use the same story the next day, it should be different because your participants are different, because people listening to you are different, and because you, from yesterday until from today to tomorrow, probably things change, and or some events happen that change probably your perception of the same story or of your own story. Because story is constructive. I mean, it's destructive and constructive. So it is destroying, constructing, destroying, constructing as time goes. So let us talk about different type of story. Who I am story. Who I am story is a kind of story that we use as leader to break down some prejudice, or some prejudice about us. You know, when you enter a new team or when you enter a classroom to do a workshop, people seeing you coming and they are not knowing who you are. They don't know who you are. And probably they have some perception. Or maybe when they told them you are coming, they will be thinking, who is this man? I participated into an event with an NGO, a local NGO here. It's an international local NGO that have an international NGO that have a local branch. And it was to shoot photos and then put all those photos on a public way, a public place, and asking people from looking at you who you are. That time I had rastas, and people were thinking that I was smoking drugs and I was drug dealer. But later, when they turned the photo and showed them who I am in my real life, people were, wow. So a lot of stories like this are used to educate people. Who I am story is one of them. Like you can use it to say to your people who you are, from where you are. How have you worked until where you are right now? Because this is what they need to understand, that you're not a joker, to understand that what you want to transmit to them is something serious, is something that you're living with it. You cannot tell a good story if it is not coming from the bottom of your heart. And then there is another type of story, which is why I'm here, is similar to the first one. And this is like bringing from suspicion to trust. You know, we go to the office, we have to remind to our people, to our beneficiary, why we are, to our participant. We are not just coming to attend a project because we want to attend. We are not going to attend the workshop because we want to attend. We are there because we want to give them something, and they should understand that we are there for that, to give them this. And then they will be aware of the fact that if they don't pay attention, probably they are losing the interest, or they are losing the outcome of probably the workshop or the networking meeting or the project meeting. Then we have another one, which is teaching story, which is like, you know, we used to say you cannot teach without demonstration. And that is the whole purpose of teaching story. You know, use teaching story to make lesson clear and to tell people, to help people remember they are doing something at the first place. You know, it's very important in our life. Teaching is hard. Teaching is very, 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 very hard, or training is very hard. Then we have another one, which is vision story. This type of story is used to project, like to make people or participant, to make our beneficiary launch themselves into the future, see themselves like in 5 years, simulate their life in 5 years, make them dreaming, you know. So this simulates actions and then raise their moral, raise their understanding of the reality, and then give them a sense of looking into the future. Like when you ask someone what you would like to be tomorrow, I want to be the boss of this company, for example. Yes, My dream, I'm still an employer. I want to be the boss of this company. Or I want to create my own company and be the boss. They look at you and they say, who you are? Then when you tell them how you want to do it, they become attentive, because it's not who you want to be tomorrow, it's how you want to get there. If you want to go to Barcelona, probably you can go by car from your house, you can go by plane, or you can go by boat, or you can go by train, or you can go walking or by bike. So it's how you want to reach there that is going to inspire them. Do you think that from, for example, Berlin to Barcelona, you can really go by bike within 24 hours? They will look at you as crazy man. So we tell vision stories to inspire them. Find a story that reminds everyone what the ultimate goal is, and why is it important that everyone reach that goal. This type of story should be told from your heart with emotion. So we should transmit emotion to people. Then, value in action story. When you see the word integrity, what do you think of honesty? Doing the right thing for the right reason, doing the right thing with the right person, doing the right thing to the right person or to the right community. A lot of questions around that can help us think ourselves. Every value can mean something different from one person to another one. If we want to pass on value to our teams, to our beneficiary, to our local community, to our project partner, we should start by defining what those values means for us and transmit to them. Effective communication, remember. Then we have I know who you are or what you are thinking story. This help you to let the other person that you did a bit, you are empathizing with the person, that you understand the reality, you understand what the person is going on, you understand what the person is even thinking, you understand his opinion. And then you showed like this the respect to the other point of view. And people are very concerned about this. You know, when you're in a group discussion and you always speak and not understanding others and not showing them a sense of understanding them, this leads to stress, this leads to a lot of frustration. But when you're using a story to let the other person know, a short story, it shouldn't be 20 minutes, no, just a short story. And he will understand, they will get to it. So they will know that they are with you as a right person. So function of storytelling, we finished with the type of storytelling. Now function of storytelling. So we have about 9 functions of storytelling that I already went through during my previous explanations. That I just want to wrap it up here for you to understand. So about function of storytelling, we have the stories that empower the speaker. You know, when you count story, when you're telling things to people, you're empowering yourself because you are learning about your own story. And then the feedback of the other people are teaching you something at the reverse. So storytelling is something that have the first way of the story and then the second way that is coming to you. So is this the reverse storytelling? Because if I'm just saying things, I'm not sure if this is really the storytelling or not, because there should be feedback from people that are listening you, confirming that they are getting you, and then sharing with you, because if you're inspiring them, you would like to hear from them what they are thinking. And then this create an environment, which is another function. It creates a nice environment, because we can move from a conflict environment to a nice environment. I remember I was having an issue in my village a few months ago with a technician. It was a very, very big conflict, and this guy was mad of me. Then I called him by phone, video call, and he didn't want to listen to me at the beginning. He was shouting, like 30 minutes. I was not shouting. I was just listening to him speaking. And then I told him, I understand what you mean. Can you give me possibility to speak? This was very quiet. Then just this, helped me to break down something that could lead maybe to a very, very big conflict. And then it created a nice environment. He and me, we were speaking for almost 2 hours, and we could find a solution for that problem. Story then bind and bond individuals. Story require active listening. If he was shouting, he was angry, he was speaking, and I didn't listen to him, giving him the space, it wouldn't have created this environment that led us later to arrange the problem. Story negotiate differences, age differences, differences of opinions. When we listen other and we give our opinion, then we find inside all these balances to give this situation a sense where nobody is going to go out frustrated. Nobody is going to, people will understand what is their fault or where they are guilty, where they didn't think very well. And then they will come to you and say, you were right on this, you were right at this. But this should be a nice environment that we are creating. Story act as tool for thinking. When I'm sharing with you these stories, is because you will think, you will receive it, and you will start thinking. Maybe probably after this session, you will be thinking for maybe 1 week, you will be brainstorming about this, and this will open your mind and lead you to other situation, to another level of intellectual level, or another level of understanding things. Stories is also a weapon, a positive weapon that we can use to unlock different situations happening in our life. Story is a medicine that can be used for healing problems, social conflict, even healing individuals. There are some stories that when you share to people, they listen to it and they feel peace. And most of all, if we have participant or beneficiary from different specific backgrounds, like with a lot of economical obstacle, cultural differences, cultural obstacle, that they are like ready, or they are more subject, for example, to radicalization, or to be in the situation of extremism or social exclusion, you know. And then story help us to encode information. We can count story to people, putting inside some code that they will understand, they will unlock the code, and they will get the information we wanted to share with them. So, what do you think about all this? Is universe made of stories? Did you hear a story that changed your life? What I am learning why I listen a story. What am I learning? Why I'm listening, or when I'm listening a story? Do we learn something, or what can we learn? The best question is, what can we learn while we are listening a story? Is it effective? Then we can learn something while we are listening a story. So, how to use storytelling to prevent xenophobia, political and religious extremism, terrorism, radicalization? How can we use this in our daily life, in our daily working life? These are the questions that we should be thinking, and that we will answer in the next session. But before this, we have to brainstorm a bit about our own story. We should think of a story of our choice. We should take like 30 minutes to write this story down. How can we say the same story without hurting? How can we say the same story to different group of people? How do we know if our story is going to be received or not to those people? What do we think could hurt within our story that we are counting? To who are we going to deliver the story? To which community are we going to deliver the story? We should think of this because it's really important, and this will change how we use the same story, not because we want to manipulate people, just because we have the right message to send. I will share you closing why I'm putting this into this session. I work as peer educator because I created an association in my home country before moving to Spain to live. And for about 10 years, we have been working on peer education, sensitizing people within community about certain health diseases like HIV/AIDS, malaria, cholera, and also some sexual habits or some sexuality, responsible sexuality, which could help them to be better people in the world. And then we were having to deliver our sensitization message to different people. When you go to a village or to a town and you have to do this, you should think of people above 50, people between 40 and 50, people with between 20 and 35 or 20 and 40, people with less than 20, around 10, between 10 and 30. So you should think of the difference of ages, not just this, but you also should think of religious orientation, belief, not orientation, religious belief, traditional belief, cultural aspect of the part of the village where they are from, of which part of the country they are from, because in one city you don't only have people from that city, you have people from somewhere else. So you should think very well. Are you going to deliver your message in a church, or are you going to deliver to a group of people on the street? Are you going to deliver to different group of age? About sexual orientation, are you going to deliver the same message to people that are heterosexual or homosexual? Are you going to deliver the same message to them? Then this helps us to understand what I'm sharing with you today, that it's important to know who is going to hear your story. That was the end of our message of this session. I thank you for listening and see you into the next session. Bye-bye.